This video is an introduction to the net force activity, which of the following does not belong. When completing the activity, please practice by using the Physics Classroom website and earn all 3 trophies. Then you'll be ready to complete the Google form. You may compare your answers from the Google form to the Physics Classroom website, but the questions are not in the same order. Be sure to practice first. The activity involves 4 different diagrams that we'll go over in this video. The first is a dot diagram, as shown here in image number 1. The dots are spaced out at every second, and the arrow indicates the direction of motion. In this diagram, the object is moving to the left as indicated by the arrow, but slowing down because they're covering a smaller distance with each second. So you can just note that in this case, there is a negative velocity because we're moving to the left, but we're slowing down, which means we have a positive acceleration. Recall that when velocity and acceleration signs don't match, the object is slowing down. Our goal of this activity is to see if 1, 2, 3, or 4 do not match the others and describe a different object moving. The second type of image you'll see is a box diagram with arrows, where the arrows represent the forces in both magnitude and direction. In this scenario, we see a net force to the left because the force acting to the left is greater than to the right. We know from our net force notes that when the net force is to the left, so is the acceleration. Next, we move on to the velocity versus time graph. So this velocity versus time graph says that the object is moving with a negative velocity because we're below the x-axis, but has a positive acceleration. So the object is slowing down from this negative velocity to a velocity of 0 or rest. You know that the object is slowing down, and you can also know that the acceleration is positive from the slope of this line. Recall the slope of a velocity versus time graph is acceleration. Finally, we have a position versus time graph. Recall that the slope of a position versus time graph is velocity. When the line is not a straight line on a position versus time graph, we know we have a changing velocity or an acceleration. We study the instantaneous velocities by drawing the tangent lines. We can see that the object has a negative velocity as each of these slopes are negative, and that the object is slowing down. We start with a steep slope and go lower and lower to almost a horizontal slope. That means if the object is slowing down and has a negative velocity, its acceleration is in the positive direction. Now we look at our scenarios and think which one does not show an object moving in the negative direction and slowing down. We can come to the conclusion that number 2 does not belong because it shows an acceleration leftward.